What up, Fish Blue crew? It's summertime 2025, late July, and if you see those LP electrics in front of me, you would think maybe this is a video about deep dropping, and you would be wrong. We are going to be doing some deep dropping here in the near future. Summertime, South Florida. We love to get across to the beautiful Bahamas and get in some family time, usually calm oceans, and it's a great time just to do some deep dropping, do some bottom fishing, stuff like that. And so we are headed to the Abaco, Bahamas this coming week. Actually, one of our partners, CV Boats, has a big rendezvous event for all their customers, and we're going to be over there supporting them for that. But it's a 250-mile run, so thought it would be really a good opportunity to use this trip, at least the front side of this trip, to really talk about something that I feel like a lot of boaters don't focus on as much as they should when they're traveling long distances in their boat. Even when you're going offshore anywhere, because things can happen fast. Mother Nature she can be brutal. She doesn't necessarily care about you and your family and your friends as much as you do. So preparation is key. And we're going to use this video to talk about all the things that you should be thinking about and doing as you prepare for a long distance trip to wherever your destination may be on the water. So we got a bunch of items that I'm surrounded by, and I'm going to take these one at a time just to kind of go through all the items that I want to make sure are on my list. And hey, you know what? If there's something that I didn't cover, or something that for some of you guys that are watching these videos that are items that you find important and useful, drop a comment below and let us know what else you would add to the list. All right, so I have a new 37 CV, and with that, there's some things that we needed to add to the collection of boating items and safety items that we need to make sure. I'm going to have at least 8 people crossing with me on the trip, and then when we get over there, we'll have as many as probably a dozen on the boat at times. So I made a trip to Bass Pro Shops and gathered up everything that I felt that I needed that I didn't have. Filling in the gaps, obviously, is this life jacket, portable flotation device, also known as a PFD. Very important. It comes in 2 different styles. This is kind of a wraparound style with a head flap. Obviously, it's got the Mylar style tape for reflection and visibility. This one actually has a whistle right on the PFD, which is super nice. The other styles are in front of me. They're both Coast Guard approved, and they can be carried in a travel pack or basically any compartment in your boat, but you want to make sure that you have enough of these portable flotation devices for every person that you are going to have traveling with you on the boat, okay? You also want to make sure you have a throwable flotation device. And obviously this would be in the situation of a man overboard, and they obviously, if they didn't have this life jacket on them, this is a quick way to get them a flotation device that can help aid them while they're in the water before you're able to bring them back on the boat. Life rings are also an option, typically more common on larger vessels. This will satisfy the requirements of a throwable with the U.S. Coast Guard. It also actually satisfies, I believe, the requirement as a life jacket for one of your passengers. However, I would not recommend this as something that you plan on for one of your actual life jackets for however many passengers you have traveling with you on the boat, because God forbid you actually did have to go in the water in a scenario where you had something really unexpected happen. This is not the life jacket that you want one of your crew members to have to wear for a long period of time. All right, guys, so the next item up that we're going to talk about is your fire extinguishers, which these should be on the boat, of course, at all times, as your life jackets should be. But when you're traveling, of course, there's nothing. One of the things that scares me the most way offshore is the potential for an electrical fire, or any kind of a fire for that matter. Rare, but when it occurs, things can go bad in a hurry. So depending upon the size of your vessel will determine how many of like this size fire extinguishers you need to carry. In the case of our boat, we need 2 of these. I believe their classification is 1A on this. You can get a larger size fire extinguisher, and that would allow you to just carry 1 if so, but I like having these smaller ones. They fit in the side compartments on the CV, and they're easy to transport. So biggest thing is you want to check and make sure that on your readout, your gauge on the fire extinguisher, that it's actually full, and also make sure that the extinguisher itself is still, within the time frame that it should be, as far as like date and expiration wise, to make sure that if you did need to cut this tag right here and pull this pin to be able to engage the fire extinguisher, that the actual gas, whatever the powdery substance is that comes out of it to try and extinguish a fire, that it's actually going to do what it's supposed to for you. Next up is something that seems probably pretty obvious, but a lot of people just don't carry them on their boat, and that's just a standard first aid kit. This will have a wide variety of products in it, from alcohol wipes to Band-Aids to gauze pads, probably even some liquid bandage if you needed to try to close up a minor wound, anything like that you could potentially encounter, when you're on the boat, if you had a minor burn, a cut, anything like that. Just a standard first aid kit is something you want to make sure you're carrying for everybody on your boat. All right, guys, so the next thing to think about, or we're going to talk about, is just standard tools. This is just a simple basic box that I picked up at Bass Pro, and I highly recommend that you create a dedicated toolbox that is just for the boat. It makes it a ton easier than constantly pulling stuff in and out of your garage, your primary toolbox, and just kind of have the basics of standard stuff that you need for trips, as well as just any outing on the water in the event that you have some sort of an issue that might require some tools. So this is still a work in progress for me. I don't have everything organized and together for the trip, but just got a little pull top tray here that's going to have a variety of items, from different size wrenches, different size screwdrivers, got some needle nose pliers. Going to want to have some standard pliers. A longer set of kind of needle nose pliers is often helpful if you have to get down in somewhere that's hard to reach. That can be helpful. Cutting devices, snips as well, can be very helpful. And then I've got some space down here below for some of the tools that might require a little more room. It's just a little simple hammer if I had to tap on anything like that. My larger screwdrivers. This is obviously for a socket set. So just some of the basics: screwdrivers, wrenches, pliers. I would definitely recommend a socket set. In the event that you have some sort of a power issue on the boat, where let's say you were stranded offshore for a period of time and you may find yourself overnight without any power, without any light, having one or more flashlights, if you needed to be able to make yourself more visible, and or find something in the boat that you were looking for. This is kind of a multi-function light. I just grabbed it out of the house. It functions as a standard flashlight, but it's also got an all-around light, so that if we were to hang that in the console, we needed to look for something, or down in the bilge, we would at least get some illumination all the way around to be able to see stuff that we're looking for. So those are some of the basics. Also, I would consider something like a prop changer. If, for example, you happen to spin a hub on your boat or on one of your motors and you needed to replace a prop or replace a hub, that could certainly be very handy along with a hub kit. So it can be the difference between trolling home at like 7 miles an hour or being able to plane off and still run, 30, 40 miles an hour. So those are all important things to make sure you think of just from a mechanical standpoint. All right, guys, next up, let's just talk about signaling devices, because again, if you have some sort of an emergency situation or mechanical failure, anything that basically disables your boat while offshore at sea, you want to be able to signal to let people know that you are in distress and or do certain things to be able to find you. So this is just a basic distress signal flag that we'll carry. I'm just going to go ahead and open this up to show you guys, but this is basically a symbol for distress while you're out at sea. It's just an inexpensive plastic distress flag that I bought that I will end up folding up and putting away into this safety gear bag, which is also going to be really nice. This is what I was talking about earlier. Probably put a few of my smaller life jackets in there, and then this has a zip up top compartment where we can put some of our other safety devices that we might want to keep all together in the event that we needed to find something quick. We can grab that bag, pull out what we need, and do what we need to do. But that's the distress flag. And then this is a really important item, again, that should be on your boat at all times, and very important when you're traveling, that you check these devices to make sure that they have not expired. So this is an Orion flare kit. Very simple. This is like looks like your standard handgun pistol, and what would resemble almost like a shotgun shell. These flare cartridges drop right down in here. You cock this back. In the event that you have an emergency, you fire this up, off, and into the sky. You get a red stream that, again, is a telltale sign of we're in distress, here we are, we need help. These are really popular at football games and things of that nature, parties. We call them air horns. But they are also, and I believe this is a Coast Guard required item, but this is an audible device as well for signaling to be able to get the attention of another boater in the event that you are in distress and you can see them, but maybe they can't see you for whatever reason. Let's say you're not on your boat, you're in the water. This air horn can be very helpful in terms of signaling somebody to say, we're over here, we need help. All right, guys, now let's shift gears and let's talk about communication devices. First communication device I want to talk about is this handheld VHF radio. I have a Raymarine VHF unit on my boat, and it works fantastic. However, in the event that I lose power, what am I going to do, right? So a portable VHF can be a lifesaver in the event that you do lose communication capabilities on your boat, you lose power. This is actually a floating VHF. It's waterproof, so if this thing goes in the water or if it has to go in the water with you, it should still function. So that's one of the things that stood out for me as far as the floating capability of it. Obviously the waterproof capability. We'll be charging that up for our trip, and it will go right into this safety gear bag that will be what we're using in terms of communication. I also have a Starlink system on my boat, which I know that some people may say, hey, I don't have a boat for that, I can't afford that. Completely understand that. For me, it was an opportunity to put it on when we built the new boat. We're doing a lot of filming through the YouTube channel, and so we wanted some Wi-Fi connectivity, and then obviously when we travel, there's a comfort level security-wise that we always have a satellite-based cellular connection where if we need to talk to a loved one or if we need to let somebody know where we are or if we needed help, we could do that through our Network Innovations Starlink system. This is the system that we use on my boat. It's an Atlas tracker, C-Trax, basically portable GPS tracking device. Insurance companies require these on boats now as far as meeting the requirements for insurance. But this little guy can slide anywhere into my boat that I want to place it. It's got lithium batteries that keep it powered up. And then there's an interface online that anytime my boat moves, I can set a fence to give me an alert or a notification once it goes outside that fence. And at the same time, like the entire time that we are traveling to the Bahamas, Carolyn Stash, who is actually the owner of Atlas Trax, her system will be able to monitor our whereabouts. God forbid we had an issue, somebody couldn't get in touch with us. My family, the Coast Guard, anybody could reach out to Atlas Trax and she should be able to find out exactly where we are or where our last identified ping on the GPS coordinates was. So this is extremely important and extremely useful. Then another important locating device that everyone should have on their boats, especially when you're traveling, is an EPIRB. And this again is basically a GPS locating device that in the event that you have to go overboard, go in the water, and or you're just without power, you're stranded at sea, all you have to do, this red button right here, you're gonna open that door, hit that red button, and that's gonna send the emergency signal to the U.S. Coast Guard that this device has been deployed, someone is in peril. You also, before you leave, you wanna test your EPIRB to make sure that it's functioning properly. I already did this before the start of this video, but a single one second push of this test button will basically give me a test to make sure that the power is proper, and then a 6-second hold will do a GPS location test for the unit as well. You want to check to see what the expiration date is on your unit. This, and typically they're 10 years. This unit was initially, basically we purchased this in August of 2016, and the battery life is good through August of 2026. After that point in time, you need to take it to a local retailer that services EPIRBs, and they could actually replace the battery for you. They also make these in smaller devices, which I have one, I don't have it here in front of me, called a PLB, which is a personal locating beacon. And a lot of people like those individually because they could actually attach it to their life jacket if they wanted to put it right on their person. And if they're in the water floating with a life jacket on, the second that obviously makes contact with water, it will initiate a distress signal that tells the Coast Guard the location of the beacon so that they can obviously deploy help to go find them. This next piece of equipment is one of the most expensive pieces of safety equipment that I hope I never have to use. It's actually a portable life raft. And it certainly comes with a noted cost. But again, if I'm 200 miles offshore in the middle of nowhere with my crew and we have no choice but to get in the water, there's probably nothing that you or I wouldn't pay for this flotation device, just again for some added safety. I think the idea in general of having to be in the water for any extended period of time is terrifying. But if you are going to be in that situation, again, I think that's where preparation is key. I bought this life raft back in 2018. I've never had to use it yet, but it was also time for service. So I just had it serviced within the last couple of weeks to make sure that everything with the life raft inside was intact. Everything that goes on from a combustion standpoint to be able to inflate the raft, that all of that stuff was good to go. Everything's checked out. And again, like I said, I usually carry this on the boat anytime I'm going offshore anywhere, and it's more for peace of mind than anything. This is an 8-person life raft. They make them smaller if you have a boat, you know, smaller where you're not typically carrying that many crew as well. But it's something that I know it's an investment that requires consideration because of the cost, but I think it's certainly well worth it, particularly if you're going to be making trips where you're crossing the ocean on a regular basis once, twice, or more a year. So that's it, man. As I said, you know, it's a wide variety of items. Make your list, check it twice. Make sure you have enough PFDs. Make sure you have proper communication devices. Make sure you have your proper GPS tracking devices, your visual locating devices, proper tools on the boat, and you put yourself in a position to where, in the event that unexpected circumstances arise, there's no panic, there's preparation, and you're hopefully ready to deal with whatever issue you may have at sea. Otherwise, God gave us this ocean to get out there and enjoy and be a part of His creation. I encourage all of you guys to get out there and do that with your family and friends, and do it in a safe way. We'll see you for the next Fish Blue Water adventure.